Welcome, everybody. Welcome. How is everybody doing? Look, I got another amazing. Look, we've been working on being a guest for how long now, Nicole? It's been crazy, but I'm so glad to have you here. So, first and foremost, before we get into the show, everybody, I want everybody to grab their girlfriends. Look, you guys, I'm having a bad habit. I'm going to have to start doing something to bring my snacks and my evening beverage. So, you guys, I can enjoy my snacks with you guys. But go get your beverage, go get your snacks, then go get your pen and paper and gather around because guess what? We're going to drop some more gold nuggets here. I cannot wait. Miss Nicole is joining us. But before we go any further, I want to ask you all, how are you cultivating your mental attitude? Think about it. I think we need, and the reason why I say that is because I think that so much is going on into the world. It's recently seen that there were so many companies laying off. Yes, it's the nature of the beast because it's the beginning of the year, but then it also throws into the loop or throws you into a frenzy like, is it me or am I next or what am I doing? And so much more. And that throwing all that into the mix of everything then causes you to your mental thoughts are just going down. You're tanking, right? You're becoming negative. You're thinking about, okay, what am I going to do? Then some of my coworkers, I've even heard them say that their hands are getting sweaty. They're like dreading to come in. It's just so much. So let's flip the table and let's talk about ways that we can cultivate a positive mindset. But before that, I would like to all say to you here at Envision Me, we are creating a place where dreams are unfolding, conversations are intriguing, and ideas are exploding, right? And so, what perfect way? I think the way we can explode into our ideas is start cultivating a positive mindset. So, without further ado, you guys, guess who I have with me? I have Miss Nicole, and she is a mindset coach. I thought she would be perfect for us. So, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Nicole.
Well, hello there. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nicole, and I do a lot of things. Um, I'm a mindset coach. I'm also a business consultant. I'm an author, and I also host online events at the summit. And I also have a podcast, the Overcome Yourself podcast, which Pam has been a guest on. So thank you again for being a guest.
So thank you. This is so much fun. I'm so excited. But let's jump into it. As I talked about at the intro, there's so much going on, right? Those of us that are still in the corporate world, everyone is always like, okay, is it me? And then it creates all this negativity. So first and foremost, what would you suggest for someone who's sitting at that desk? Well, they're not sitting at the desk now, but they're thinking about it and they're getting ready to face the workforce tomorrow. What would you suggest to them?
Okay, so a little bit of my backstory. I found out that I had the back of an 80-year-old when I was only 21 years old. So my entire world changed. And I had to learn how to cultivate a positive mindset, right?
Yeah.
How was I going to get out of this? How was I going to lift myself back up? And I stumbled into practicing gratitude. And the simple act of practicing gratitude absolutely changed my life. And so when we're looking at going into work tomorrow, I dare to ask you, what are you grateful for in what's happening, right? So if you look at where you are, instead of looking at the negativity, what if we looked at what we were grateful for and focus on that instead? And so that's where the foundation of everything that I teach really comes from.
That's good. That's so good because you're so right. We do have to start somewhere. And I like that you're saying start at the ground level and just be thankful and grateful for where you are. And we need that, right? I mean, like I said, matter of fact, today at my job, we had this big 2-hour meeting. Of course, we're talking about what happened last year and what we're going through this year, and also talking about some of the changes that's going on. So I'm so great. I'm so glad that you talked about the talking about how to start at the ground level. But as we start at the ground level, how do we even stay positive though through all of it?
Um, it starts for me with writing down every single day three things that I'm grateful for. And it sounds like it's too simple to work. It sounds too easy, so easy to put off.
Yeah.
But this is what really is the catalyst to being able to adjust our perception. Because when we're talking about happiness, we're talking about mindset. It's all about how we see, what glasses are we looking at, what lens are we seeing things. So gratitude is that little in the morning that unlocks and helps us adjust our perspective, which is what affects how we see everything else during the day.
Oh, you know what? I actually, you would be proud of me. I do my three gratitudes a day, and I even put it on my calendar to remind myself. So, those of you, like Nicole just said, she already said start on the ground level, right? Then she talked about the second one, she talked about doing three gratitudes a day. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there because sometimes we get so innovated and so congested with all that's going on around us that we sometimes forget, right? And so a great reminder tool is to use your phone. And I put it on there. I literally have on my phone on my calendar to remind me of do three gratitudes a day. And I even start sending them to people. I'm like, this is what I'm grateful for, my gratitude, and I share with some people outside. So I do like that you talk about the three gratitudes and you share it. Now that we have gotten them into the positive mindset, how do we keep them there?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm going to answer with something that's a little counterintuitive. One of the things that I learned in my journey was it's time to stop trying to be happy.
Mm.
It's one of those elusive things that if you chase it, you don't end up finding it. And it's very fleeting. Like that's one of the things I talk about in my book. Happiness is dependent on circumstances, right? We get a promotion, we get a raise, something great happens, but then that fades. And so I made it my goal instead of focusing on trying to be happy, is how could I live in joy? And that's the foundation of everything I do because the joy is the underlying factor beneath all of those other emotions. Because we can be happy and joyful at the same time. We can even be sad and joyful at the same time. But it's really hard, almost impossible, to be happy and sad at the same time. But there's that joy that lies underneath that really powers us through everything else that's happening. And so, yeah, but forget trying to be happy. Happiness comes and goes, but focus on living in joy instead.
So let me ask you this: as you talk about focusing on the joy more than the happiness, well, aren't they the same or are they two different?
Um, I see them differently. I see joy more as hope. And Brene Brown talks about how hope is this underlying foundation to the rest of our emotions. So I see joy the same way, where happiness, like I said, is dependent on circumstances. Like when you look at what happiness is, it's a chemical reaction in your brain. Something good happens, your brain releases some chemicals, they go into the receptors, and now you're happy. And so you literally can't really sustain that all the time. But living joy is a perception and it's a way of operating. It's the basis of all the questions that you ask yourself. And so that's why I look at that as the foundation. And that's where we start with gratitude, is what kind of that all up to the surface, right? Because it's all about our perceptions.
Yeah, you're right. So joy, I get it now. So joy is overcomes, it's more powerful than happiness. And joy, we can stay with joy. Happiness is sometimes a false sense of belief to ourselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, it can be.
Wow.
Because like I said, it's a chemical reaction. So even if it's not necessarily a good thing, it can make us feel good, but that doesn't mean that it's going to make us happy long term, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's focusing on the joy and the habits. So my book is all about gratitude and habits and seeing the superpower in what you thought was your weakness. So yeah, it's all back to perception.
I really like that. So listen, you see, I'm all intrigued on it because I'll keep asking you questions because I'm really like that. We are talking, we're shifting our mindset to focusing on joy and how joy impacts us more than happiness. And you're right. You can fake that you're happy, right? But joy will be there. So I really like that. So now let's turn as we are focusing on women that are in the workplace. And now we've already given them some tools on how to cultivate their positive mindset. We talked about three things. First of all, is talking about the gratitude. Do three gratitudes, which I'm so into that. That is crazy. When you do the three gratitudes, do you send it to anybody or do you just write them down and you keep them to yourself?
I write down my three gratitudes, but I like to involve others as well. And so during my day, if I say thank you to someone, I like to use a pattern interrupt and add, I appreciate you. Um, and that kind of, or I appreciate what you just did for me because it helps people feel seen. And so I love involving people in the gratitude as well. And I love that you send it out to people and involve other people in that because that spreads joy and that spreads that good perception.
And it also too holds you accountable, right? That's another way to, especially if you send it to the same people, they'll be like, well, what happened to my gratitude, your gratitude statement? You send them in the past. So I like the sharing of it. I love getting everybody involved. And I think we need that. I feel that we need it more so now than ever.
Yes.
Now that it's all that's going on into society and everything. So now we talked about the mindset and we talked about the joy and how we can focus on more joy than happiness. I really love that. So now we have women now are like, okay, I got it. Now I can go ahead and I can feel a little bit at ease and I can now go after what's next. So now that they've set the stage and they've created the foundation, they created everything, what can they do next to get them ready for their what's next or get them ready for their idea or ideal?
I would say the next part is taking inventory. Whenever it's like, what do I do next? My big thing is we'll take inventory. Where do you want to go? Because if we're going to make a roadmap, I need to know where you are and where you want to go. So where do you want to go? And what are the tiny success habits that you can implement every day that are off spot list, that are just easy, that are going to help you get to that goal? So something as simple as drinking more water. So drinking an extra glass of water every day, developing that habit, for example. So just depending on what your goals are, setting it and then setting up habits and focus on those 1% improvements.
I like that. I'm with you too. Setting the habits, and they say that if you do a consistent habit for 21 days, then you're on the right track, and it's more than likely that you will be successful at that goal. So I'm really like that.
Yes. Yes, but it actually is going to take 3 to 6 months to actually start seeing results from that habit.
Yes.
And it's going to take almost a year to actually see a lifestyle change. And so it's really important that we, and that's because of like the neural pathways in our brain, the habits that we have when we take an action, there's like a little electric impulse that goes and it follows the path of these decisions. When we're developing a new habit, it's really important that we just have it. Even if we fall off, even if we forget one day, keep going to develop that new trail so that you can actually reap the benefits of that lifestyle change with that habit.
I love that. Those are great tips. So, Nicole, believe it or not, I mean, our show is almost halfway through and this has been so fun. So, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way they can get in touch with you?
Well, they can come hang out with me on Facebook. So follow me, Nicole Tuxbury. Um, I have a free gift I can offer you. That's cool with you.
Absolutely. Girl, who doesn't love a free gift?
Awesome. So I've written a book, and it was a compilation of the Profit Machine Summit, which I hosted almost like 2 years ago. I can't even believe it. And I sell that on my website. I have it as a joke for you. Listen, and you can grab it at nicoletextile.com/profit-gift. And you can get a free copy of that sent right to your inbox.
Ooh, I love that. I definitely will drop the links so everybody can get a copy of that. I'm gonna have to get that myself. So, Nicole, at this point in time in this show, we always stop and I get a little bit more personal with you. I hope that's okay, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, at this point of the show, I always talk about book on the shelf. Now, let me give this disclaimer because everyone's like, oh, you get kickbacks. I don't, but I do believe in order for us to even expand and go to the next level, we have to read. I think that's the easiest way to do it is reading. And let me say this also, I don't read. I normally do Audible. I have to say that because everyone's like, well, how do you? I do Audible, but I do it every day. So let's talk a little bit more. I love your book. I know you, other than your book, let me say this, other than your book that we're going to talk about, is there another book that you would like to recommend our listeners and followers to read?
Um, there's so many. I have like a whole list.
Girl, I have over 80 in my
Um,
in my library, so I get it.
so here's the ones of the books that I love.
If you don't have any, it's
Can
a
we go?
sure, sure. So while
Okay.
while she's thinking of it, here's my books that I'm reading, and actually, I'm reading it again. One is written by Nicole Walters, and it's called "Nothing Is Missing." It's really good, and she talks about we already have what we need to be successful and going after our purpose and our passion. So I really love her book, and it really goes into. She gives you another roadmap. Another one I am reading is The Garden Within. And again, it's all about the Garden Within actually is using ties in the Bible and different verses of the Bible and how we as individuals can become successful. I really like that. And then lastly, now the next one I'm reading, okay, is 10 times is better, 10 times is easier than the second time. And it's all about entrepreneurs who are going after who are entrepreneurs and who are hustlers. And they talk about how you can become a successful entrepreneur. So those are the books I'm listening to or reading, however you want to say it. So you want to go back to, are you ready, Nicole, to share your books?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I mentioned Dr. Graham, The Joys of Imperfection.
Ooh.
The Gifts of Imperfection is in the book, so I'm looking for it. The Gift of Imperfection. I don't have affiliate links. These are not affiliate links.
Right.
So I don't get anything either. Another book that changed my life as a woman, The Confidence Code.
Yeah.
Patty Kay and Claire Shipman. Yeah, it'll change your life. Go read it. And then one that I was looking at, and I was like, "Do I mention this?" And then you mentioned something, and I was like, "Yes." Another book that was really helpful for me is Optimistics by Pastor Ben Corbin. And he deals with depression and how he got out of it, I guess. It's absolutely amazing. And those are three books that changed my life. And anything by Malcolm Gladwell is absolutely fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm all about empowerment and going and and bettering myself. So I like these books. Everybody, I will definitely get her list of books, and I will also get put my list of books, and you guys can read them. But these are just our suggestions as well. Nicole, you're a busy woman. How do you have time to do? How do you have time for your self care, and what do you do for self care?
I love being in the ocean. I go to the ocean a lot. Um, I one of my goals for this year is to be not busy. So I'm productive, but I don't feel busy about it.
Uh huh.
So that's one of my self care practices. I do like a lot of working out. Like, when I found out I had the back of an 80-year-old, I started working out like an 80-year-old. And so little by little, I've, improved and I've strengthened my back and I've gotten better. And so being outside, being active, like I was told 10 years ago that in 5 years I would be walking. And so I love walking around and I love doing the thing I'm not supposed to be doing.
I
Right?
know,
So, yeah,
right?
anything outside, hanging out with my dog, really not.
So let's go back to you saying you're trying to be less productive. Is that what you said?
No, less busy, but more productive.
Okay, because I was going to say, how are you going to, I was going to say, how are you going to do that? Okay, I totally get that. So how are you doing that though? I mean, because we are all, we're feeling like we are busy, but we're not productive. So how are you doing that?
That's a great question. One of the things that's in the profit machine, that's in the profit machine summit book. It's like the second or third chapter is doing an inventory. And like for me, it's with clients, but you can do an inventory with whatever you're doing and take a look at that and be like, where am I getting 20% of the most productivity? And where's the 20% that's draining? And it's taking up all of my time and it's not giving return. And we eliminate that stuff. Either we outsource it or we stop doing it, whatever we need to do. And we focus it on the 20% that's actually moving the needle. Everything else can be done later, can be outsourced, whatever.
Oh, I like that. I really love that
It's really
tip.
taking inventory, yeah, and honing in your resources on what's productive.
I like that. I really like that. Taking inventory. That is so, and that's came up in our conversation several times to this evening. And I think that is so important to take inventory and know what is, like you said, know what's moving the needle and what isn't. And what isn't, then you're right. Either it's to go to the wayside or you're to outsource it and then see if it can bring it back into. So I really like that. So as you talked about self-care, my self-care, actually I've started doing what you said. Start determining what is what's moving the needle and what's giving me joy. Because let's be honest, if it's not giving me joy, then the needle's not going to be moved. Then it's not serving it. Then it's just a trickling effect. For me, it is. So I have started doing that and noticing that those that is not moving the needle or I'm not feeling it, I will then start either I'm going to put it to the side. Me push personally, I put it to the side or I put it on my parking lot list, and we'll come back to it to see maybe I'll feel the joy later on, but not right now. So I do that. And secondly, I'm also the way I'm becoming productive, more productive. I started keeping track of my time when I'm doing work. I keep track of everything that I do to see, am I really spending time or am I wasting time? So that's the second thing. And lastly, my self-care, I love going shopping. Who doesn't? But here in Columbus, we have this outside mall. And so my reward is I'll put on my tennis shoes and go walk around and just enjoy the sights and just be into me. And so that's really something that I'm working on, and I'm trying to be consistent at that. As we get ready to close down, Nicole, what would you like to leave our listeners and followers with?
Take imperfect action, do the thing, even if it's scary, and have grace on yourself.
Ooh, grace is so important. We don't give grace to ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. That's why I said tonight was a perfect night to talk about how we're going to cultivate the positive, the positive mental. We have to. If not, you're going to fall back using falling into happiness, and not instead of not focusing on the joy. So I really like that. And then we'll come back to me, but then also, Nicole, what is your what's next?
Um, I'm feeling like an in-person event coming on. I just went to an in-person event and I was just like, I can do this. Um, and so definitely more summits later on this year. I know I've got a magazine article coming out with you later on this year.
Yes.
And oh, my membership is opening up in next week, so in February.
Yay.
And then in-person events. So yeah, it's all leading to that. Because my book is coming out this year. I've got a lot of what's next.
That is, girl. See, you're gonna need that self care because you're really busy, as I already knew that you would be. But I understand that, and I'm so happy we got to sit down and we finally got to talk to each other, as I knew it would be. It would be so much fun. Again, Nicole, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how could they?
You can send me an email if you'd like, hello@nicoletuxberry.com, or message me on Facebook. That's going to be the fastest response.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. This was fun. Time went by so fast. It's just crazy. I knew it would be, but this was so much fun. So, Nicole, don't hang up. Stay with me, and I'm going to just wrap us up. So, everybody, as you heard Nicole, she had dropped nuggets. We talked about how we can be joy, the difference between happiness and joy. She also talked about creating the three gratitudes, that we do. And we even talked about how to hold you accountable, share them, get everybody involved, and so much more. As I said before, tonight was all about cultivating the positive mental attitudes, and we need it. There's so much going on in the world. We need all the positivity that we can get into. And then we talked about our self care and Nicole's amazing what's next, her list of what's next. So everybody, we have given you tips, we have given you tricks, and we talked about everything else to help you get you to your what's next. If you're looking to work on your what's next, drop me a line. You can actually text me at 614-674-0074. And in the text, all you have to do is say me, and I'll know who you are. And then also, too, if you're feeling that this episode can help or empower somebody or inspire someone, share it with them. Sharing is caring. And lastly, my ask to all of you, drop us a line. Tell us how we're doing. Give us feedback. Until next week, everybody, when I have another amazing guest coming in and they're dropping their amazing nuggets for their what's next. Until then, everybody, remember, you only have one life to live. Live the life to your fullest and know it's for you and nobody else. And take care of yourself until we see you next time. Bye, everybody.